To do exactly is you have to create a folder inside that Python folder.
Yes.
Just like so I've already created a folder here with name. Okay, so the name of the folder is mobile app MD, in which I'm going to put the whole project. Fine. So you can also
Yes.
create a folder like that, and then what you have to do is you have to create the main file first, right? That Python file which will be controlling all the other KV files will be defining for this application. So if you are working on VS Code, then things become a bit simpler. You get to see an IntelliSense and you type something. Here I have to sorry, but Anand, a lot of noises are coming from your background here.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So I am creating a file with name. Okay, let's give it the same name, which is used in the video. So
Yes.
he has used math, right? And then
Yes.
import all the packages we require for this application. And let's import label from label base because we need to define the font style for this application. So for that, I think label base will work. Then from kivy.uix dot screen manager, let's import the screen manager. And besides that, we do not want to do any kind of transition, or if even if you want to do any kind of transition, you want to see transition happening between when the user is going from one screen to another, then there is a library called no transition that you can use. And then from Kivymd dot app, let's import this MD app which we'll be requiring for our application. Then we require the builder module, right? Just a second, let me define the Python interpreter here. Okay, so from kivy.lang import this builder class, and then it's time for us to import what else is remaining. I think we haven't imported window, so we need to do it. Import window so that we can control the size of our applications window. Now it's time for us to define the application window size. So for that, window dot size I can use, and here let's pass the mobile applications window size. So generally it is 350 by 600. This is what I used in one of the previous applications also, if you remember. Then let us define the main class now in this Python file. So I'm using the same names which have been used in the video so that you don't get confused. Right, math solver, I think that person has used, and then you'll have to check whether S of math solver is a small or capital. But yes, when you are writing a Kivymd app, the classes names are generally written like this. So we follow a rule here that if the class name is made up of two names, so the first letter of each name should be in capital. That's what I've done here also. Okay, then let's just define a build method. So self again, and it's time for us to make the create a global variable which can help us in accessing the screen manager. So I am using the same name, screen manager, which have been used in the video. Then screen manager. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to create the object for the screen manager. So this is how it can be done. And for transition, I do not require any kind of transition happening. So let's pass no transition for that. No transition. Fine. And now screen manager again we will call, and let's add a widget to it. Okay. So whatever there are, I think 4 to 5 uh, KV files we require for this application. So that is what I will be defining first. Fine. And after that we will be coding each of those 4 to 5 KV files separately. Fine, that is how we are going to build this application. So let us first call all the KV files that we require. Let us load all the KV files that we require here using the builder method. So the first one is, of course, we need something with the help of which we can start our applications. To start KV for that. Okay, and then we can just copy this entire code. We can paste it here, then again we can execute the enter button like this, and let's just change the names to, so the second one I'm changing it to select. I think it was select sign. That's what has been used in the video.
Yes, sir.
Then the third one is,
Yes,
I
sir.
think, quiz, right, as far as I remember. And the fourth one is, I think, in this the person showed the score, so final score we can give the name to the this KV file. Okay. Then at the end we have to return the screen manager. So let's do it quickly. And last but not the least is the if control statement. So if name is equals to the default main function, then our application should run. But first of all we need to register the label base. So this is for defining the font style. So the one which has been used
Yes,
in
sir.
the video is luckiest guy, I think. Right now, how can you get it
Yes, sir.
on the internet? Let me just help you with that here. So there is this site called luckiest 1001fonts.com. So here you can easily find all the types of font. Just before this lecture I was trying to find out this luckiest guy, and I was able to find it out here on this website. I downloaded it also here on my device. Let me just open the folder. I'll be sharing with you this file, so don't worry about that. So we need to copy it, and we have to we can come here and then we can open the file, and just inside this mobile app MD folder we have created, we can put it there itself. Yeah, perfect. So now the font file is inside the main folder in which our coding file is present. And let me just change the name of this to something which we can use here in the code. So luckiest guy.regular is a bit big name, so I'm reducing it down to rename regular.tt. Okay. Let's make it regular, and it's a type of TTF file, I think. Yeah, true font file. So it is TTF. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Now how can we get it here in the app? So we can first name something. We can give a name to our font. So let's use the same thing which I've been using in the video, luckiest guy. And then we have this thing called regular. FN regular here refers to font regular. Okay, so to this we can pass the name of the font which we just downloaded, regular.etf. Fine, so it has accepted it. And finally we can call our math.solver, this math solver class inside the if control statement. What is happening to my keyboard? Math solver, and let me just give it a run. Fine. So this is how we can That's the whole code of the Python file, the main Python file, which will be controlling our application. Now let us start creating the KV files one by one, which we require for this application. So let me just click here and let's add the first one. So I think the first one I named is start.kv. So start.kv. Okay, and now here the first thing we have to do is we have to create the MD screen, right? So MD screen and name. So I'm giving the same name which have been used in the video, which is start. And then we have to define a layout, right? So it's going to be a floating layout for us. Layout is going to be a floating type. And let's just define the background color. So we can use this thing called MD. Then there is something called BG color, right? So this is going to help us in controlling the background color. So alpha RGB, and then alpha for alpha also I'm passing 1. Then image will come, and here I have to give the source image. Now from where can we get the source image? I think I've downloaded the images somewhere. Just a second, I have to check for the images here. File, open file. Images with name background, and this is what we'll be using here in this start.kv file. So what we can do, we can simply pass the name of the image here. So it's with name background dot png, and then you can define the size if you want, or otherwise it is your call. If you don't want to define the size, you can just remove it, right? Then it's time for us to define a label. Okay, so MD label, all these things we have covered, right? These are very basic things.
Yes.
I hope you know
Yes.
about these things. So let's first create a text kind of thing, and because we are using KV files, so here we have to pass the values using colon, right? I hope you remember this
Yes.
criteria.
Yes, sir.
Math, and then you can use the same name which have been used in the video. So it is this, and then we can define the font name also, font, the name, and so the name of the font is luckiest guy, right? Luckiest guy. Then we can define font size. So font size. Let's use the same thing which have been used in the video. Then we can align it horizontally. Horizontal align, and I would like to keep it in the center. So center we can simply pass here, and then the famous code for position hint. So we can pass the same things which we passed for the previous applications we have created. So center underscore x for this. We can use, just a second, I have my mouse here. So we can use 0.5 for this, and then for center underscore y, we can use 0.7 or 0.6, whatever will fit. And then color also we can define. Then if you want to define line height, then it is something you can use, otherwise it is not mandatory. So for now I'm using the same thing which have been used in the video. Okay, so after that we need to have a button, right, which with the help of which we can start the application. Button.
Yes, sir.
Then I would like to see something getting reflected on the top of it. So let's use start, and then let's define the font name again. So it's going to be luckiest guy again this time. I think I typed the spelling incorrectly here. It should be luckiest guy. Yeah. and then we can define the font size. Font size. So let's make it 40 this time, and then let's define the size hint. So this is something which we generally use for button size hint. 0.55 across X and 0.12 for Y. Okay, and then let's define the position hint. Again, let's copy this code from here, and I'm going to use this over here. And in place of 0.17, 0.7, we can use 0.15. Just give me a short moment here. So now what else? After this, what is happening to this? The marketplace as extensions. You can help out Kivymd. Okay, I think I haven't installed it, so let me just install this Kiwi here. And
Yes.
what else is? You can also note them down, okay? Because these are some of the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
things you require if you want your
Yes, sir.
application to be supported by VS. So these are the two things you can install in this. Again, one of the major things that you have to install for these Kiwi files. Okay, let's begin from here. So position hint, and after that we can define the background color. So this time it's going to be again white, but alpha, the opacity will be 0. Then we can define a canvas. So I would like to define the color first for the canvas. What is happening to my cursor? So okay, fine. Find the color first, and this time it's going to be RGB. So it's the code for the canvas. If you will search it on internet,
Yes, sir.
you'll be able to find it very easily. But the code goes
Yes, sir.
so canvas, and you can use after or before. It's totally your call.
Yes.
But if you have to use something before the canvas, then before has to come here. And if you have to use something after the canvas, then you can put after here. After this, you can define the color of the canvas using this canvas color attribute. Then you know very well about RGB. Fine, and it's time
Yes, sir.
to give the value, pass the value for RGB, and that is how we can do it. So RGBA is the term you have to use, and then you can pass the value for R, and then G is going to be this, and B, let's make it 30, and for alpha, let's make it opaque. Okay, then we can define a rectangular box which is required. So round rectangle for that. Inside it we can define the size. So self dot size. Okay, this is going to be the size. Then let me just position my rectangle. So let's use a variable for that, and radius of the rectangle. For now I am passing a random value. I need to get rid of a. Yeah, I'm passing a random value. Let's make it 10. Okay, so I think we are good to go with this. And here we have to make this position.
Yes.
I'm sharing my screen again. Yeah. Okay, so Anand, I've already shared the code of this Python file with you, right? And here, okay, it is showing some error to us. Now, why it is showing as an error? We'll have to check for this. Okay, because we have used equal to here. We need to use this semicolon. I'm passing the code of this file also to you. I would request you to just paste it, in this start.kv file. Just create a file with this name and paste the code inside. We'll make some more changes in this code. We will add some more things in this code, but for now you can just use this code, right? So once we are done with creating all the required 4 to 5 kb files, I will then show you the application. I will then run the application and show you exactly how it's going to look like.
Sir, sound is not coming clearly.
Is it fine now, dear? I'm very close to my speakers. Is it fine now, or is it still not audible? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I was saying that I have just passed the code of this file to you in the chat box. I would like you to just copy it and paste it in the start.kv file that you have created.
Yes.
Fine. Now the next thing that we have to do, Anand, is we have to create another file with name select underscore sign.kv, right? That's what we define here. So let's do it. We have to come on file and then new file we can select.
Sir, sound is not coming clearly.
Sound is not coming clearly. How is it possible, dear? I am very much close. Just a second. Let me just unshare. Is it fine now? Am I audible to you now? Hello?
No.
Anand, now is it fine or is it still lagging? Is it fine now, Anand?
Yes, sir. Yes, clear.
There is some issue at your end here because my speakers are working perfectly fine. Chalo. So it's working fine now. Now let's create another file with name file. Then let me just open here and let's create a new file. Okay. I think I'll have to press Control and N keys together. Then I can just save it with a unique name. So let us save it with only select sign.kv. So it's going to be a kv file for us. So here we have to define the required code. Now, before defining the required code, we have to, do something. We have to link this select underscore sign file with this start file. How can we make it possible? So here we have defined, just before this canvas, we have defined a button, right? So as soon as the, yes, Ridesh, so as soon as the user will click the button and he will release the mouse click, I would like him to get redirected to the select sign in page, select sign in screen. So how can we make it possible? There is something called on release, if you remember I taught you. So when the button will be released, so what will happen? So we will call the root, right? And we will ask our manager to, make the current KV file equal to select sign. Are you getting my point? So with this, here we are changing the root. Initially, our root will be start.kv. But when the user will click Tridesh, is it clear to you? Tridesh, am I audible to you, better? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Tridesh, can you hear me better? Hello. Just a second. Let me just change my network connection. Tridesh, am I audible to you now? Are you able to
Yes,
hear me
sir.
properly, dear?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so I was saying that, when the user will click the button we have created here, as soon as
Yes, sir.
people release the mouse click, so what will happen?
Yes, sir.
This root, this root will be changed. This current root will change to select sign. So whatever we are going to
Yes, sir.
define here on this select sign.kv, it will get reflected on the mobile application screen.
Yes, sir.
Is it clear to you, dear?
Yes, sir.
So now what is the next thing that we have to do? We can copy this entire code of start, right? And we can use it here in this select sign, and we can simply paste it here. And let's just use this code for designing our, this select sign in screen. So what we can do,
Yes.
we can first change the name. In the previous lecture, if you remember, we defined the code for these three files, right? And on WhatsApp, you told me that you were getting some error, right? So
Yes,
what
sir.
we can do, we can test the code of these two files, right? And after that, we can go ahead and then we can define the code for these two files. There are some more things we need
Yes,
to
sir.
define, in these files, but we'll do it afterwards. So let's just check the codes we have defined for these two files first. So for that, what we can do, we can simply comment out these lines of code one by one like this. Let us check the code we defined for start.kv. Right, this is the one. Okay, and for that, I need to just save the changes first. Let me run the application. So it is running, but where is the window? Okay, so I have the window over here. So this is what we are getting, right?
Yes.
So this is the code which is giving us this output. Fine. So for me, it is working fine. What I can do, I can just share this whole code with you again. I hope you already have created this file on your device.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So I'm
Yes, sir.
putting the whole code in the chat box. Just copy it and paste it in your start.kv file. Let us check the code for this second kb file. Just select signs. I'm running it. Right now, the thing is we haven't defined the connection between the two screens. So I won't be able to show you the transition. We'll do it afterwards. But yes, what the code is giving us, that's what we can see. So it is giving us select solver, right? So the whatever code we defined in this select sign, it is also working fine. So let me just share the code with you. Make sure the names of the files are correct. It should be select underscore sign, then kb. Here is the code. Just copy and paste it in your file and let me know if it is working for you. So here in this start.kb, Okay, we have math/n solver as a text. Let me just change the text here. So can we do? We can, or else let me come down and check for the button. So okay, we have a start button over here, but we want a button which can help us in, going back. So for that, what we can do, we can copy this code and then we can put it over here like this. Let's change the text to back. Okay, the font name will be same for TSP 0.5112. It should be same as that of the start button. Then position, here we have to change the position. So let's change the Y value to 0.15. Okay, and then background color, shall we change it? No, I think we can, we should not change it. Then on release, when the button will be released, what should happen? So I would like it to redirect the user to the start screen, right? So this is how we can do it. We have changed the root manager. Okay, then canvas before, for this, I think we should not change the value. Let it be like the way it is. Then self.size, this is perfectly fine. Self.x, self.y, this is fine. Then radius 10. Let me just save the changes and check whether this button, can we get it on the second screen, that is select_sign or not. Okay, so we are getting a back button here, right? So this
Yes.
is fine. Just pass this code to you also. I'll not be able to put the entire code. What I am doing, I'm putting this button code in the chat box. Fine. Just add it to your select_sign file. So you have to put it in just below this MD label code. Okay, and this is how you have to put it. Okay. So now what is the next thing that we have to do? Let me just see. So we have this button over here that is start, and this is the back button. But the issue is select sign. So when I am running the code, so here we have this back button, and when I clicked it, it gave me an error. No screen with name underscore. Okay. So it gave me an error. Chalo, no problem. We'll check it afterwards. But let me just comment it out. Actually, we need a start button in the on the first screen, so that we can click it and we can move to the next screen. I don't think that we have any over here. So for that, it's better if I put this button from here. Let's put it in this slot. Okay, we already have it here. So why is it not visible to us? Why are we not able to see this button? We have defined the code. It should be visible to us. Why is it so that it's not visible to us? Is it text start? This is fine. Font name, font size, center, background. Okay, maybe I need to put 0.15 here. That's the reason. Let me just save the code, and now if I will run it, I should see that start button. Okay, now it is there. Fine. So when I'm running the application on the very first screen, I'm getting the start button. So the only thing which you have to change is you have to put a dot in this code.
Yes.
Fine. Just because of the position, it was not visible to us earlier. Okay, so we have a start button, and then on this screen, I need two buttons. One which can help us in going back, and the other which can help us in going to the next screen. So here I can change it to next, and let us change the position to 0.20. See where we will get this button. Okay, I need to check the second code here. Maybe the buttons are overlapping. Yeah. So this button is visible to me. The back button is visible to me, but it is a bit overlapping. So for resolving the issue, we can move the start button a little bit, sorry, back button a little bit up. Okay, next is the top and back is at the bottom. So let's reduce it further to 0.7 or 0.6. I think this will give us the correct result. Otherwise, we'll change the value for this next button if it doesn't happen. Let me just change it to 1.7. Back on math solver. About 0.19. Now it should give us the correct output. So next button. Okay, I was by mistake, I made changes in this one. I should change the value of this bar. Let's make it 0.12. To back button. Let's change to about 16. I think now should get the correct output. Next should go up and back should come down. Next should go up. So just a second. Let me check if I'm doing the correct thing or not. Using the number is next. Yeah, now I think it is perfectly fine. So I want to get next here and back at the bottom. For doing that, we can interchange the value. So let's change it to 1.0, and here I'm putting. So we should get yeah, perfectly fine. So we are getting two buttons on the second screen, and we need to just check the code once again over here. In the label, this is fine. Here we have defined the position. Okay. Then we do not have the grid layout here. Huh? We require one grid layout just after, and where can we put it? So this is where the label is coming select. So it is on the top. So we need to put it, somewhere in the body. For doing that, I think it's better if I'll put it here in between the label box and the button. So MD grid out. So the rows let's use 2 rows as used in the video. So columns also 2, and for the size in part, let's pass a random value 0.6, 0.4. Yeah, and then we can use the position hint be again equal to this only. We can make some changes in the value of y because I want to see it somewhere in the middle of the screen. So let's change it to 47 because here we are using 10 and in the bottom we are using 27. So it's better if I use the combination of these two. Okay, not 47, it should be around 30. No, 30 will not look good. Let's make it 45. I think this will be a good option. Then we can keep some spacing also in between the content. So for that, there is a keyword called spacing we can use. Let's put 15 for spacing. All right. Then what else can we do? Let me just check the code, whether this code is fine or not. So at present, select sign in is active, right? This is fine. Okay, yeah, this is perfectly fine. So now we have to define a button, right? And here we have defined the screen. On this screen, we have a label, grid layout, and button. So what we can do, let's use this concept. Let's define the button right on the top. So let's define a sign in button. So how we can put the code. So we are going to use the same method in the rest of the files also. Font name we need to define first. Should be easiest by that we downloaded, if you remember. East by. Then we can check for the font size. Size should be let's make it ESP. Again, then background color we can define this, right, because we want a blue color background. Then canvas, of course. Canvas here we can go for the canvas. Let's use RGB this time. So I would like to pick the color from the root. Okay, how to do that? It's very easy. Root.bg color. So whatever color the root, whatever color we have assigned to the root, it will come over here. Now it's time for us to define the shape of the be like this only, rounded rectangle, and then we can use the same parameters which we have defined for the other buttons. So we can copy this and then we can paste everything here. This. Fine. And where can I call this button? I need to call it somewhere. So what we can do inside this grid layout, we can call it. Calling the button, we just have to write this thing, sign button. We can simply put it here inside grid layout. This is how we can call a button that we have defined the code for. And now what else can we do? See, if I'll simply run this code now, it's not going to give me any output. Let me just show it to you. See, it's giving me an error, and the error is factory exception, unknown class, fine, unknown class sign button. So, the sign button which I have defined here, this is inside these tags. So for Kivymd, or you can say for the Python interpreter, it's a type of class, and I
Yes.
haven't defined anything which can help the interpreter in recognizing this class. So what we have to do in Kivymd, what we do, we need to define a class. We need to define a class object for this particular thing. How can we do it? So we need to come here in this main file, and here somewhere on the top, or not inside this max solver, but you have to make a separate class with the same name. This is what you have to remember. We'll be doing it again 2 or 3 times maybe. So we need to define a class with the same name here, and then we can, because it's a button, right? So we need to pass this button as a parameter. Then we can push the background color. So there is something called list property. Okay, there is something called
Yes.
list property. So that's what we can use here, list property. When you will see the output, you will automatically come to know about what this list property does. Okay, so this is how we can do it. And now we need to just come back on select sign. If you remember in the video, there are 4 signs: plus, minus, divide, multiply on the
Yes, sir.
second screen. So we are trying to create that right now. Okay, we are trying to create that right now and try to understand the concept. So what I did, see, all the 4 buttons will be should be visible to us in between that top header, which is this select sign, right? And the what we call it, and the 2 buttons which are getting reflected at the bottom. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
all those 4 things, plus, minus, divide, multiply, should be visible to us somewhere in the middle of the screen. So the middle of the screen right now, it is grid layout, which is actually covering that middle part. So what we will do,
Yes,
we
sir.
will define all the buttons, all the 4 buttons inside it. Okay, so how can we do it? So we have already created a class with name sign button, and we have defined all its properties right on the top over here. We have also defined a class with the same name here, which will help the interpreter in recognizing this class. Okay, now we have to use it for getting those 4 symbols on our screen. How can we do it? So we need to come down, and here we can simply put a colon, and then whatever text you want to see on the top of the button, that's what you can pass. Suppose you want to see a plus button first, so plus, and then whatever color you want like to assign to this button, simply you can use BG color for that. And let's use the same values, which have been used in the, what we call it, video. So 40 is the
Yes.
first thing, then 255, 109, 255, and then 1. Okay, these are the values which have been used in the video. Same thing, what you can do, you can, because we have to get 4 buttons, right? So we can copy it thrice like this. Okay, and here we can just change the symbols. So I'm changing this to minus for now, and we can change this to asterisk, right? And then we can change it. So what is happening? You can change this to divide, and it is your call. If you want to, suppose you want to see asterisk in the first row, you can simply use asterisk here,
Yes,
and
sir.
then you have to put minus in. Fine. So
Yes.
that's what you can do yourself, I think. So now 46, this is fine. And I think we are good to go. And shall we change the value? I think we'll have to change the value for this. Let's do it quickly. So this is 40, right? I want to see it just next to this button. So, okay, it's color, not positions. So let's do one thing. Let's just assign double values to this. So these are some random values. You can also do it. And then you can just check whether you're getting the correct output or not. Here also we can assign the same values, 87 to this. This I'm assigning 23. This I'm assigning to 6, and rest everything I think is good to go. Then let me see what we are getting through this code. Have to save the changes. Let's run the application. I am getting an error. Name button is not defined. Name button is not defined. Why is it showing us this error? Okay, we haven't imported button anywhere. Let's do it. So we can find button. I think in Kivy, we don't have anything like button in Kivymd. So let's use UIX button of Kivy for getting the button. So import button. I think now it will be able to give us the correct output. Okay. Just give me a short moment here. Okay, so why it is not able to recognize it? No module named Kiwi. Okay, I made a mistake here. Should be why list property is not defined. List property is not defined. List property is not defined. List property. They are overlapping, right? Now, why they are for this overlapping thing? We can change the coordinates of select sign. Right, this select solver, we can change the coordinates, so we can make it 0.3. Let us see if we can get the correct output. Okay, sorry. We need to increase it to let's make it 1.3. Seven. 0.76. Now it is here. What else can we do? What else can we do? Let's reduce its size to 7. This is fine. Position size. Just change it to -7, 10. Okay, yes, sorry. We cannot use this minus here. Plus minus 40. What if we'll just change it to then back is looking too small. It's looking too small. Okay, 0.40 seems good. We need to reduce the size. Y is also 0.8. Okay. Let's do one thing. Instead of changing this, let's change the position. So if I just bring it down, I have to stop making it overlapping, right? Position of back button. One, two, one, seven. It's going up, it should come down, right? 7, 6. Back button. 6. Seven is giving us the correct output, but the issue is the buttons are overlapping. Why the buttons are overlapping? Why the buttons are overlapping? How can we fix it? What was there earlier, dear? Do you remember? The value which was there. 6 was not there. Yes, so back button is not there. Select solver. What we can do, we can move select solver a little bit, up, and then we can change the value of this MD grid layout, because I don't want to see the two things overlapping. Center X, center Y. 7, 0, if I make it, then what will happen? It has come down. So, okay, now it is fine. So 90 is coming here. Okay, the lecture is about, the session is about to get over here, so I'm sharing this code with you in the chat box.
Yes, sir.
Which I'll not be able to do it. I'll be putting it on your WhatsApp all nowadays.
Yes, yes,
What you can do, you can just work on this part here. I want
yes,
to bring this thing, these 4 buttons in the middle.
yes,
So I think now
yes,
you
sir.
will be able to do it very easily. You just
Yes,
have to
sir.
change the coordinates. You'll be able to do it. Fine, and let me know on my WhatsApp if it is, if you fail to do it. Right, just put a message on my WhatsApp, sir, I was not able to do it. So I will try it at putting it on recording. In the previous lecture, if you remember, I told you to fix that issue, the issue of alignment. So this is how it is coming. I think you were not able to do it. So I have fixed it myself. And what I did is I just changed the value of center Y to 0.55. Okay, so as to
Yes, sir.
bring it in between the two things. So now it is coming like this. Fine, so all the elements are properly visible to us. Select solver, the text on the top, then these buttons. I know everything is perfectly visible to us. Let me just come here on this select sign, and I think we are through with defining the code for this one. Everything looks fine. What else can we do here? So we have this text, we have this color of the button defined over here. This is perfectly fine. Um, then we have not defined the functionalities of button yet. Okay, so right on the top we have defined the sign and button, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
we have defined its what we call it, the position at which we want to see it. Then we have not linked it with any function, right? So what we can do, just after this background color, we can tell the interpreter to, if the user releases the button after clicking it. So what should happen?
Yes.
Would like this to happen. So it should be, he should get redirected to this. Fine. And then we have this value here. This is also perfectly fine. So we have defined a function here, right? And now how to call this function? That's what we have to see. So we have linked this button with this function, and for calling this function, we'll have to make use of this main Python file. So here we can, I think it's better if I define a function inside this build. So we have this screen manager, this is fine. Here we are returning the screen manager. Just after this, we can say select sign, and here we can pass the required parameters. So let's pass parameter with name sign, and then I would like to just print the value of sign for now. Let me just see if we can get the correct output. If I'm clicking here on next, now it's not giving us any error. If I'm clicking on back, it is, yes, it is showing us an error. When I'm hitting that next button, we are not getting any error. So this is now behaving perfectly fine. The next thing that we can do here is, see, if suppose you want the user to, you want to redirect the user to some other screen. So you can make use of this screen manager component for that. So right on the top, we have defined a variable with name screen manager, which we can use here. And then we can simply say that make the current screen equal to, now you can put the name of the screen that you would like the user to get redirected to. So let's first create a new screen file, and here again I'm going to create a kv file with name quiz.kv. New, I think we'll have to first control N, and then we can save this file with quiz.kv. Perfect. Now we have to link this select sign button with quiz.kv. So what we can do here, we can simply pass the name of the file. So it is quiz for us, right? I think now it should work fine. Let me just check it once. Control B. File, just hit next. It is not giving us any output. Why? Because we haven't defined any code here inside this quiz.kv. Let's do it. Let's copy this entire thing. Let's put it here in this quiz.kv file. Here we can just change the name of the file first. It will be quiz. Right, then we have this quiz, and I think we do not require this empty float for this one. So let's get rid of this. Then we have this empty label. Okay, this is fine. Here we have the select solver. So Shall we just change it to something else? Just a second. MD float was for the top thing, right? It is giving us the color. So do we require it or not? I don't think so. Let's okay. Let's do one thing. We can remove it afterwards. Let it be here only. For now, we can make the changes for this MD label. So I would like to see the question getting reflected right on the top. So we can take a random question. Now I'm taking 49 plus 12 is equals to, let's say, question 1. Fine. Something like this I would like to see on the top. Then we have this font name, yeah, font size, H align. This I think we should not change. Let me just save the changes and run it once and see if we can get the correct output. Okay, I haven't defined a code for quiz.kv. Let's do it. Next, it is not working. Why it's not working? Should work. Sign in button. Here we have used this button. We just have to change it to quiz here and release. Now it should give us the correct. Yeah, so the screen just changed, right? If I am clicking, if I am hitting this next button, so it is redirecting me to the second screen. So this is working perfectly fine. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to change the view appearance of this quiz.kv file. So right on the top, we can take a question. Should be equal to question. Then name should be equal to quiz. We have this MD float, VG color, and then here instead of besides text, we can take an ID also with which we can keep a check on the question part. We have to, change the questions. This ID is going to help us in that. And then what else can we do? So we have this font name, we have this font size, 55. So for this, we can keep 60. I think 60 will look good because it is the question screen. Then we have this position hint. I would like to see the question getting reflected somewhere in the middle. So I think this 0.5 and 90. Okay, instead of 90, let's just change it to 85. Then color should be this. Then we have this color, we have this line height, also perfectly fine. Grid layout, rows, columns, size, spacing. Should we keep it 15 or, okay, let's keep it 15. Afterwards, we'll change it if it is required. Now here we can change the text. So in the beginning, in the starting, I would like to see 49. Then we can change the text of this button also. So I'll change it to 49 again. Okay, let's make it 50. Let me just check the question which I've defined here. So 49, 12, and then equal to question 1. So let's just replace. I don't know why my mouse is not working. So let's keep it 12. Then we can else. Let me just try with this one only first. 49. Here also, I think we can keep 49 only. We have this text back, which we can. So again, we have 2 buttons, right? TSY 40 SP. This is fine. This is also fine. Here we can change Now, when the user will release this button, what should happen? I would like him to get redirected to the start screen, starting screen. So let's put start here. Color is fine, rounded rectangle. All these things are fine. Let me just check what I'm getting as an output. Okay, so if I'm hitting next, so this is what I'm getting right now. Okay, so we are getting the options. Now earlier the things which were acting as buttons, right now also they are acting as buttons, but on those buttons we are showing the options from which the
Yes, sir.
users can select. Okay, so what
Yes,
will
sir.
be the correct answer of this question? User can select from these options. So this is what we are
Yes.
doing. Let me just pass this code to you also so that you can also put it in your KV file. So create a new KV file here with name quiz.kv.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think I'll
Yes.
have to pass it to you in the chat box. Sorry, no, it's not going in the chat box. I'm putting it on your WhatsApp. Just a second. So let's come back on this quiz.kv. So here we have these sign buttons. Now because we have to use them as options, so what we can do, we can change them to option button, and we will define the
Yes, sir.
configuration of these buttons later on. The way what we are doing here is, see, we have defined these buttons. So the configuration of this sign in button is okay, I think we haven't defined it yet. We will do it later on, no problem. Let me just change it to option button first. Then we can come up right on the top. We can define the configuration for the option button. There is nothing like option button in Kivymd. Okay, this is just a name that we have taken randomly. Okay, it's a random name we have taken. Even if you can put your own name also in place of this.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
but what you have to do then, you have to tell the interpreter also about the configuration of that name. So that is how we can do it. So the name which I have chosen, I can put it here right on the top. Then I have to define its configuration, and that's how we can do it. So I think we can take the configuration from here instead of typing it manually. So we can take it from here. So font name will be this. Font size, let's reduce it down to half of the buttons we have on this select screen. So 40 SP we can take. Background color will remain the same. Here we can change the, I think we can change the color. So let's take the same thing which have been taken in the video. So it is this, fine. And then when the button will be released, then what should happen? Here we can define the functionality. So app dot, and here we can write quiz. Okay, and then I think rest everything is going to remain the same, or shall we, let's pass another parameter here, which can, in which we can save the input which the user will provide us. Fine, so whatever answer the user will select, it is going to get saved in this self named variable. Okay, then we can, what else can we do with this? So option button, then we have this text. Okay, we do not require this anymore. Why? Because we have already defined this BG color on the top over here. So this is how you can reduce the lines of codes. Fine. All these small concepts you have to take care of. Okay, let me just check the output, what I'm getting as an output. Let me choose it. I'm getting screen with name. Okay. Have I linked it with any screen which I haven't defined the code for it? So, this is fine. This is fine. Release order. Fine. We have not clicked it. Okay, okay. I think we need to activate it. Why? Because one of the buttons we have defined here is linked with the starting screen. Now Control V if I do next. No screen with name quiz. No screen with name quiz. Why is it showing us this? Manager.current quiz. I have defined the name right on the top of the head. So when I am clicking on start, it is redirecting me to this screen. Next, I'm getting an error, screen manager exception. Here it was not showing us any error. Why this is causing an error? Select sign. Screen is there. We are loading the KB file here, then we are loading the select file here. Let's load this quiz also. Okay, so it is not able to read factory exception unknown class option button. Here we have used option button. We have used it in the correct no problem, we'll look into this afterwards. Let me check the MD label configuration. So ID position, this is fine. Font size is also fine. Then we have the size and the fine, position it is also fine. Is this because of this PG color? Let me do it. Let me just cut it from here. File now run it. No, just showing the section. Start next. No screen with name. With quiz name. Checklist show this quiz.kv file. Question the screen is quiz. This is fine. This is a little bit different. Here we have defined the name like this only. Export. So how you define the quiz. Raise this radius to 10. Color, should we keep it here or not? I think that it is going to affect any code. Let's do one thing. Okay, I think we are missing. We have defined the code for sign button, but we haven't defined the code for option button, right? Maybe that's the reason it is showing us here. So let's do it. We can copy this entire thing and we can put it here. Just put it here in case of sign button. This time, button. I think the rest everything is going to remain the same. Right. We'll try it again. So next, it is again showing us the same error. Position, and we have defined star.kv select sign. This is fine. We can activate all the 4 lines of code. Okay, final underscore score we haven't defined, so let's not activate this one. Select screen manager. Here we have defined this print. Let's just get rid of this print because we do not require it anymore. Screen manager dot current. This is fine. Then here on this quiz, where this button is present, so we have 2 buttons, one with name back and the other with name next. What we can do here, we can use this next button. So we are using this, we can use this back button for redirecting us to the start menu. Okay, and we can use this next button to redirect the user or to the final score menu, final score. Let's just define another screen with name final score, and this is how we can do it. Control N, Control S, and right here final underscore score dot kv. Okay. Now we have to find out why it is not able to recognize the name of the. Okay, now it's working fine. So if I'll click here on start, it is redirecting me to the first to the menu screen. If I am clicking here on quit, things are not happening. Why? Because we have not defined any code for this final score. Right. So we have to define the code for the final score. We'll do it afterwards. We have to first check what else can we do with this quiz.kv file. Next button, there is the next button. So we can write restart here. I think restart would look good. Here everything is fine. Now what we have to do, we have to define the code for the answer part. Suppose suppose a user is playing the game and he come across the first question. So he's going to just select something. Now we have to process that input, which the user will provide to the game. Okay, so what we can do, we have defined a function here, right on the top. We can use this function. How we have to do it? Let me just tell you that. So I think we've already defined this function over here inside just math solver. It's with name select sign. So here we can I think write self dot selected. So let's say selected sign is the input which the user has selected. So it is going to first come. It is going to come from here to this variable. Then number 1. So what we have done here is control S. Let me just run the code and show you, tell you the exact thing. So if we are hitting this next, these numbers that are coming here, these are hard coded values, right?
Yes.
These are hard coded values, and these are also hard coded. Now what I want is, I want the computer or the, the machine or the game to generate these options itself. So it should
Yes.
generate some random options. Now this is
Yes.
what I will be defining the code for now. So what we can do, we can use this num1 first, and then there is a library called random, if you remember.
Yes, sir.
And in this we have a function called random. So I would like to take numbers from ranging from 1 to 10. This is how we can do it. Similarly, we can take another number and we can save it in a different variable, let's say num2. And then we can use this screen manager thing. Okay, I think this is a better option. Screen manager. And then we can use this get screen. I would like to first get the quiz screen. Fine. And here I can use something. There's something called IDs. Okay, and then question dot text. So what should get reflected as a text on this get screen, on this quiz screen, right? Which the user should see as a question. That is what we can configure through this whole thing. So what we are doing, we are configuring the question part right now. What should get reflected on the game screen. So I would like to see. So f string is something which, with the help of which we can pass anything in the form of string to any screen. Okay, f string, and the first thing I want to use is the number 1. Okay, and then I would like to use the sign operator. Sign is plus, minus, multiply, divide. It can be anything.
Yes.
Then I would like to use number 2. Okay, and finally we can put equal to, and then a question mark should come. So where is the question mark on my keyboard? This is finally. Okay, now here let me just run this, check for the output. We start next. Okay, right now we are seeing the same thing which we defined the hard coding for. Okay, it's not getting changed. So what we can do, we can come up over here. Okay, here we have defined this build function. This is fine. Let's take some variables also. So we have not defined anything for this selected sign, right? So that's what we can define the code for on the top. So let it be an empty string for now. Okay, similarly we can define another variable, and it is also going to be an empty string. Fine, and then we can just come down, and here we can just check for, put a check on the sign part. So we can see if let's say the sign is equal to plus, okay, multiply, it can be anything. For now I'm checking for plus. Where is the plus sign on my keyboard? Okay. If the sign is equals to plus, then what should happen? So self.answer should be equal to, so I'm passing it in the form of string num1 plus num2. This is how we are calculating the answer. Okay, if the sign is plus,
Yes.
then the answer should be this. Similarly, we can say that elif, if the sign is equal to multiply, let's say, okay, or let's make it minus, then what should happen? Then self.answer should be equal to this. Similarly, we can tell the interpreter that if suppose the sign which the game selects randomly is multiply, then the answer should be this. And if it is divide, then the answer should be this. Okay, so manually we have calculated the correct answer of all the questions, and it's time for us to just define something which the user can select from. So here we can come down, and time for us to define a while loop. So while we can say that, let's say there is something with name option length, we will define it afterwards. If the option length is smaller than 4, okay, then what should happen? So if sign is equals to, again we have to put a check on sign part. When you will see the output now, you will come to know about this while loop also. So if the
Yes.
sign is equal to this, then option should become what? Option should become random dot, again we will use this random function. So 1 comma 20. Similarly, we can define the other commands also. Elif if the sign equals to minus, then what should happen? Copying this from here, then the answer will be from minus 10. It can be from minus 10 to 10. Similarly, if the sign is equals to, let's say, multiply, the answer can be from 1 to 20, anything the answer can be. If the sign is if it is divide, it is divide, then we can say that this am I doing right or wrong? Plus for this is fine, minus 10 to 10, because the value can go in negative also. Multiply 1 to 20 is fine. Then for division, we can random dot random. How? Okay, let it be like this only. We can change it afterwards. This doesn't work. And then finally we can say that if the option is not in the option list, the option which the user has selected is not present in the option list, then what should happen? So option underscore list. So I would like to append the option into that list. This is how we can use the append function, which is a very basic function of Python. Else we can say that option length equals to -1. Fine. Okay. So after this, we can tell the interpreter to increase the option length by 1. You know what we are why we have done this? So that once the user is done with attempting a question, he should be redirected to the next question. Fine.
Yes.
Then we can say that random dot shuffle. So it should not be like that. That the order can be anything, right? If two people are playing the game, then suppose the second question for the first user is about Taj Mahal, then the second question for the other user can be on different thing, right?
Yes.
That is something I would like to define the code for. So I think shuffle is the function which can help us in doing it. So we are shuffling the list right now, list of questions. Then after this we can put